Hi, my name is Brian and this is Carpentry for People in a Hurry. I'm going to teach you what materials to use, how to cut and shape them, how to put them together, how to measure and mark, how to finish, and how to install. This is just a general overview of carpentry. I'm going to be making a much longer series later on. Moving on, come over here. This is plywood. Most plywood comes in about 4 foot by 8 foot pieces. This is chipboard, very ugly, but cheap. This is MDF with a wood veneer on top. It can be stained or painted, and it's a lot cheaper than using hardwood. This is melamine. It's particle board with a plastic film over the top. It's really flat, it's cheap, it looks pretty good. And then this is actual plywood. It's just thin sheets of wood glued together. It's really strong in all directions. If you're lifting a large piece of plywood, tip it onto its edge, grab it in the middle, let it fall down onto that hand, and then just pick it up. So that was the sheet goods. Pretty much anything that isn't plywood or a panel we call hardwood. Hardwoods normally come in about 3/4 of an inch, but you can get anywhere from 1/2 inch to 3 inches thick. It's measured in board feet, which is 12 inches by 12 inches. Different types of hardwood. This is maple. It's very hard. There's very little grain, so it looks good when you paint it. This is alder. It's very lightweight. Looks good when it's stained. But it splits really easily and it's not very strong. This is poplar. It's ugly. It's cheap. I don't know, you can use it for anything that doesn't need to be seen. This is cherry, sort of a medium wood. It's actually pretty cheap, but it looks really pretty. It darkens in the sun, so you don't really need to stain it. And it's not too heavy, doesn't split easily. Pretty good all around wood. Pine stud from Home Depot or Lowe's. Really cheap and easy to work with. And now I'm going to teach you how to cut things. Just a couple general safety rules. If you don't know how to use any of these tools, definitely don't listen to me. This is way too quick to explain how to use anything safely. A couple rules in general that I will add on to that. Never cut towards yourself. Always keep your hands far enough from a blade that if you got bumped or tripped, you wouldn't fall into the blade. I think 6 inches or something like that's pretty safe. Make sure you're not wearing long sleeves, necklaces, anything dangly, long hair that can get caught in a blade. Similar to that, a lot of people think that gloves sound really safe. Gloves will save your hands from splinters, maybe, but if they get caught in a tool, it can mangle your hands. Always make sure you've got eye protection, ear protection, lung protection if you need it. Make sure that the ground's clear of anything you might trip or slip on. Sawdust is incredibly slippery, so a clean shop is probably safer. Make sure you've got good lighting. The more you can see, the less likely you are to make a mistake. Probably the most important tool you can use woodworking is a table saw. They come in many sizes, from big to little baby. Table saws are made for cutting large panels of wood or cutting hardwood down to smaller sizes. Table saws are incredibly dangerous. If you don't know how to use one, find someone to teach you how to use it first. This is a compound miter saw. It's dedicated for making crosscuts and miters. Come in different sizes, come stand, very basic. You can set it to a miter to make angled cuts. You can also make long cuts on a panel with a circular saw. They're portable, they come in different sizes. Make curve cuts with a jigsaw. You can also do crosscuts with a handsaw, Japanese or American style. A couple good tools for shaping wood are a rasp and a chisel. Chisel just carves away little bits of wood. And then a rasp is used for grinding away large amounts of material. If you're going to cut holes into wood, you can use spade bits, Forstner bits, or hole saws. Hole saws are best for large holes. They're going to cut them the fastest and the cleanest. Spade bits are super cheap and rough. They're just for holes you're never going to see. And then a Forstner bit is going to cut a clean hole with a flat bottom. So now I'm going to teach you how to put things together. I think probably one of the best and most reliable ways to put things together is with a drill and screws. It's best first to drill a pilot hole with a countersink. If you want to go retro, you can use the old hammer and nail. Quick and easy way to put things together is using a nail gun. Often combine it with glue. because the nails aren't actually that strong, but they do keep it in place while the glue is drying. There's also staple guns, which are a lot stronger. They just make a bigger mark. Most nail and staple guns are powered by a compressor. There's also nail guns that are powered by battery. Suck. Okay, they don't suck, but I don't know, the one I bought sucks. Now I'm going to teach you how to mark and measure wood. Everyone knows what a tape measure is. Super basic. Mark with a pencil or pen. I actually like just using a plain Bic pen because the line is always the same width. If you use a pencil, after a while it gets dull, and then your line's sort of thick. For precision measurements, you got calipers. They'll measure down really. For measuring in between things, you can use a laser. Anytime you're going to mark something you're measuring, mark out, say I want it 8.5 inches. And I also want to mark out the side that I want to keep and the side that I want to cut, because the blade is actually about 1/8 of an inch thick. So I'm going to mark, this is the side I'm cutting on. This is a bevel gauge. It's made for cutting like molding and stuff, so you can put it up against something and then draw it, trace it out on. Yes. Oh my God, that's why I don't like pencils. A couple little tricks for marking lines. If you're close to an edge and say you need to mark out 1/2 inch, you don't have to keep marking it. You can actually just, if you put your finger against the edge here, you can get a pretty good line like that. You can also do the same thing with a tape measure. Say I want a 4-inch line. So you can use a Carpenter square or a combination square to find out whether something is square. You can also use it to mark perpendicular lines or even 45-degree lines. You can use an angle gauge to do odd numbered angles. Another way to find out whether something is square is actually to measure from corner to corner and then measure from the opposite corners and make sure that it's the same distance. Next, I'm going to teach you how to finish wood, which means surface preparation and painting or staining. I put in some nail holes, use some wood putty. If it's really rough, you want to start with a belt sander. Then you move to the orbital sander, sand it with 120, then 150. Some people will go up to like 220. That just seems like. So staining is a bit of a mystery to a lot of people, but it's actually dead simple. You want to make sure your stain's shaken and stirred, and you basically just wipe it. You can wipe it on with a sponge or a cloth, and then you let it sit. The longer it sits, the darker it gets. Let it sit for a little while, wipe it off. Wipe with the grain. So stain rags can actually become flammable. Make sure you dispose of them properly. Google that. We put them in a bucket full of water. So once you're finished staining, you would put on a clear coat of lacquer or something like that. Of course, as far as painting, you've got Old Reliable, a brush and paint. You can also use a little spray can or a compressed air sprayer. Brushes are good for little projects, but they often leave marks behind. A spray can and a compressed air sprayer or any other kind of sprayer. It's the same kind of paint. The spray can's just small, so it's not going to cover much. So you just want to make sure you get smooth, even lines, overlapping about 50%. So spraying with an air sprayer is basically the same thing. You can just get more paint. You still do the same strokes. All right, last stretch. Now I'm going to teach you how to install stuff. So just to give you an idea of what's going on behind a wall, there's drywall over what are called studs. Studs are basically 2x4s. They're placed about every, I think, 16 inches. But there's a variety of ways to find them behind the wall. You can listen for them. So there's one right there. You can hear it a little higher pitch. You can use a stud finder to find out where they are. The stud is straight up and down all the way through the wall at this point. So you just find your stud, mark. If you care, you can make sure that it's level. Bam! Something that has mounting brackets like this, rather than trying to measure out how far they are apart and then go mark it on the wall, what you can actually do is string a piece of tape across the whole thing, and then you can take a marker and mark out where the slots are. Take that off. So we've already found our one stud right here. We're going to line up one with that stud. We're going to make sure it's level. Bingo! So we've got a stud here, but studs are usually only every 16 inches or so. There's no way there's going to be another stud that close. So the other one's going to have to be straight into the drywall. So what you do is, little marking hole right there. And then we're going to install this drywall anchor. So it screws in just like any other screw. And then you can fasten a screw into the drywall anchor and it'll hold a lot better than just drywall. So something else you can do if you're installing things on your own is cut a stick just a little bit too long, and you can actually kick it in to bring your object up to the right height. So now you just drill it in one end of the stud and then you drill into a drywall anchor just like it's a stud. You just don't want to go too far and strip it out. These magnetic drivers are really cool. They also sometimes have a sleeve that keeps your screw from flying off. So then you can take your stick out and go nowhere. I think that's it. Anyways, thanks for watching my video. Let me know if I left anything out. My goal for the next series of videos is to go much more in depth to the point where you feel like you could step out onto a job site and at least not look like a complete dingus. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Keep up the good work. How do I hold my body? What do I do? Today I'm going to teach you how to prepare wood. We're not getting the best results here.
Well,
Bolts in the fucking bathroom, for Christ's sake. I need a film editor and a producer. Gosh damn it! La 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 la. Somebody told me that you were so stupid, and I didn't believe it. But now I believe it. Ah! Oh gosh damn it! He didn't think that one through all the way. Christ. Ah!